Now, when you think of mornings in September, especially in New York City, it's easy to conjure images of golden sun rays filtering through the gradually browning leaves, a soft chill hinting at the coming winter, and streets bustling with the reinvigorated pace of life post-summer vacation. But September the 11th, 2001 was a morning that took the playbook of serene autumnal mornings and chucked it out the proverbial window. It began ordinarily enough. The Big Apple skyline dominated, as ever, by the towering twin towers of the World Trade Center, standing like two colossal exclamation marks declaring the city's grandeur. Commuters grabbed their daily dose of caffeine, traders at the stock exchange geared up for a day of furious activity, and tourists fumbled with maps, planning their city adventures. But as two planes, seemingly drawn as if by some dark magnetic force, slammed into those iconic towers, the world stopped. The towers, once symbols of pride and prosperity, became scenes of unimaginable horror and devastation. And that wasn't all. As news trickled in, another plane made its deadly descent into the Pentagon, and a fourth, United Airlines Flight 93, crashed into a Pennsylvania field, thanks to the valiant efforts of its passengers. The very sky seemed to betray the land of the free, bringing with it terror and tragedy. In the minutes, hours and days that followed, a shroud of shock draped the country. It wasn't just the loss of life, though that was heartbreakingly immense, or even the crumbled bricks and ash-covered streets. It was the shattering of an idea, the crumbling of a sense of invulnerability that many Americans held dear. The world's mightiest nation found itself wounded, vulnerable, and searching for answers. And as is the way of things, grief soon gave way to anger. There was a palpable need to do something, anything, to reclaim some semblance of control. Enter the War on Terror, a term that would shape geopolitics for the next few decades. The mighty gears of the US military machine began to turn, targeting those believed to be responsible. Domestically, things were afoot too. If you thought bureaucracy moved at the pace of a particularly lazy snail, you'd generally be right. But in the wake of 9/11, the Department of Homeland Security was established faster than you could say, "Did I leave the oven on?" Aimed at preventing future attacks, it was a major reorganization of federal functions. And speaking of federal oversight, the Patriot Act soon followed, which, depending on who you asked, was either a necessary tool in the fight against terror or a slightly Orwellian overstep. One thing was clear: the nation was on high alert, and life as we knew it was irrevocably changed. In the midst of all this upheaval, conspiracy theories began to weave their narratives. But that, dear theorist, is a tale for later in this chapter. The birth of distrust. Now, in the heart-wrenching aftermath of an event so mind-bogglingly catastrophic, you might expect the collective human response to involve a good deal of hugging, some heartfelt group singing, and maybe a large helping of apple pie. And for many, there was just that. People coming together, providing solace and support. But as is the curious nature of our species, there were others who took to a different kind of comfort: the art of the conspiracy theory. It started as most whispers do, quietly, perhaps in hushed conversations at local diners, beneath the glow of neon lights, or at family gatherings where Uncle Bob, who always had an opinion on everything, voiced the first doubts. "It's mighty strange, don't you think?" he'd start. And soon enough, the room would be abuzz with speculations and what-ifs. You see, for some, the official explanation seemed as riddled with holes as Uncle Bob's moth-eaten favourite sweater. The speed with which buildings fell, the mysterious collapse of World Trade Center Building 7, the absence of airplane debris at the Pentagon site. Each perceived inconsistency became a thread for conspiracy theorists to pull, unraveling the fabric of the official narrative. Now mix that with a dash of distrust towards the government, a mistrust that had been fermenting for years with incidents like Watergate and the Iran-Contra affair, and voila, a conspiracy theory stew bubbling away on the stove of public discourse. But what is a conspiracy if not shared, debated and dissected? Enter the World Wide Web. Now, if you ever tried to search for a banana bread recipe online and found yourself 3 hours later watching a video on how to knit socks for squirrels, we've all been there, you'd know the internet is a labyrinth. But it's not just filled with cute animal videos and endless memes. It's a hotbed for every theory, idea, and speculation under the sun. In the early 2000s, the digital realm was like the Wild West. Online forums became the saloons where conspiracy aficionados gathered. Webmasters turned gunslingers of information, and independent media sites positioned themselves as the sheriffs, claiming to unveil the real truth. Websites dedicated to the truth about 9/11 mushroomed. Grainy videos were analysed and reanalyzed, frame by frame, by eagle-eyed netizens. Blog posts were written with the fervour of someone penning a Shakespearean tragedy, all in the hope of exposing what they believed were the real culprits. Now, it would be easy to dismiss these theories as the ramblings of the tinfoil hat brigade, but when trust in officialdom is dented and the internet offers a smorgasbord of alternative explanations, it becomes a ripe environment for the seeds of doubt to flourish, and flourish they did. The tragic events of 9/11 and the distrust they birthed showcase the curious, sometimes maddening, but always fascinating dance between belief, fact, and the stories we tell ourselves when the world seems incomprehensible. The main theories unveiled. Ah, conspiracy theories. They're like the exotic dishes at a potluck dinner, enticing, often spicy, and occasionally leaving you wondering, what exactly did I just swallow? So let's don our finest detective hats, perhaps with a touch of foil for flair, and delve into the Moorish morsels of 9/11 theories that have left many a curious diner coming back for seconds. First, on our buffet of bewilderment is the notion that the Twin Towers, plus the lesser-known WTC-7, didn't meet their untimely end due to a couple of rogue airliners, but were instead professionally and deliberately dismantled with explosives. A controlled demolition, if you will. You see, some folks raised an eyebrow, or both, at the speed and symmetry with which these colossal structures crumbled. "It's too neat, too tidy," they murmured, alluding to the idea that only pre-planted explosives could result in such a spectacular and rapid descent, not to mention WTC-7, which wasn't even hit by a plane, yet decided to join its taller siblings in the tragic tumble. Videos, expert testimonials, and debates about the temperature at which steel melts have added fuel to this fiery supposition. Next up, we venture to the Pentagon, an establishment known for its, well, rather pentagonal design. Now, official records point to American Airlines Flight 77 crashing here. However, some conspiracy connoisseurs suggest it was not a plane, but a missile, or even more tantalizingly, a drone. that left that particular mark on the Pentagon's sturdy facade. Their proof? Claims that the hole was too small, the debris too scarce, and eyewitness accounts too varied. The lingering question remained: where, oh where was the plane? Or was it ever there to begin with? Lastly, let's talk about the disconcerting whispers of a stand-down order. Now, the US isn't exactly known for taking things lying down, especially when it comes to national security. But the buzz here is that the country's top-notch defense systems were deliberately told to twiddle their thumbs, sip their morning coffee, and not intercept the hijacked planes. The idea paints a picture of dark, shadowy puppet masters pulling strings behind a thick velvet curtain, orchestrating chaos while the world watched in horror. Now, you might be scratching your head, wondering how these theories took such deep root. But remember, history has taught us that during confusing, heart-wrenching times, the human psyche seeks solace in understanding, even if that understanding comes wrapped in the enigmatic package of a conspiracy theory. And while some of these theories might seem as far-fetched as my aunt's claim to have dated Elvis, they're a testament to our ever-churning collective imagination and the insatiable human desire to seek answers, even in the darkest corners of speculation. Analysis and rebuttal. Dive into the murky waters of conspiracy theories, and before you know it, you're neck-deep in tales of intrigue, covert operations, and suspiciously shaped shadows. But fear not, dear theorist, for we are armed with the sturdy life jacket of expert knowledge and the buoyant rubber duck of reason. Because why not? Let's start with the professionals. The folks who've dedicated their lives to understanding things like why buildings fall and how planes fly. Firstly, to the controlled demolition theory, engineers, those heroes of mathematics and physics, are quite adamant. The catastrophic combination of raging fires — remember, jet fuel might not melt steel beams, but it sure heats them enough to compromise their integrity — and the massive weight they were supporting led to the tower's unfortunate demise. As for WTC-7, fires from debris combined with a peculiar design gave it that ill-fated shove. Regarding the Pentagon, aviation experts with a swish of their pilot caps have gone blue in the face explaining how a plane, flown at a particular angle with immense speed, can indeed make such a hole and scatter debris in a pattern consistent with the crash. That the eyewitness accounts varied isn't shocking. I mean, ask 5 people to describe my Aunt Mabel's mysterious meatloaf, and you'll get 7 different answers. Now, on to the pièce de résistance, the 9/11 Commission Report. A tome as hefty as it is enlightening. Assembled by a team of experts, this report dives deep, and I mean Mariana Trench deep, into every aspect of that fateful day. Its findings? The idea of an inside job doesn't hold much water, or any water, or even a hint of humidity, really. From start to finish, the report exhaustively examines evidence, testimonies, and every detail of the day's events. Yes, they took conspiracy theories into account and then, armed with the sword of evidence, parried them with skill and diligence. The report, if boiled down to a single succinct sentence, essentially says, it happened as it seemed. There were no puppet masters, no dark cabals, just a group of extremists and a colossal failure in intelligence and communication that led to heart-wrenching tragedy. In the end, as we wade through these contentious waters, it's essential to remember that at the heart of all these debates, speculations and counterclaims, are real people and real losses. It's always easier to believe in vast, shadowy plots than to accept that sometimes, despite our best efforts, things go horribly wrong. And while it's natural to question, speculate, and even theorize, we must do so with respect, compassion, and a good dollop of critical thinking. After all, even in the face of towering mysteries, the light of truth does have a stubborn way of shining through. The lingering shadow of suspicion. When you consider America's tapestry of culture and history, it's embroidered with a great many things: baseball, jazz, apple pies, and alas, conspiracy theories. And of these theories, those surrounding 9/11 have not only persisted, but have weaved their way into our music, films, literature, and late-night, I should really be asleep, internet rabbit holes. In the realm of cinema, haven't we all been captivated by dark, smoky rooms where protagonists uncover the truth? Directors and scriptwriters, sensing our insatiable appetite for mystery, have layered their works with nods to these theories. They've created worlds where shadow organizations lurk behind every government edifice, and every tragic event has puppet strings attached. And while most of these are thrilling rides of fiction, it's essential to park them in the lot labeled entertainment. Music, that ever-vibrating pulse of society's heart, hasn't been far behind. Lyrics hint at unanswered questions, dark days, and the ever-present they, who apparently know more than us. Books, plays, and even modern dance pieces, yes, truly, have taken the baton, passing the tales of whispered secrets and haunting questions to eager audiences. Ah, the human psyche, that vast, uncharted realm where our fears, hopes, and suspicions reside. It's a mixed bag of reason, emotion, and that uncanny ability to spot a zebra in a field full of horses. The same mind that gave us space travel and Wi-Fi also gifts us with a penchant for patterns, even when they're not quite there. The bigger the calamity, the bigger our need to make sense of it, even if that sense veers into the nonsensical. Our trust in institutions is a bit like a beloved old teacup. Once cracked, it's never quite the same. And, unfortunately, history has furnished us with enough reasons for these fractures. From Watergate to intelligence missteps, the ledgers of institutional trust have some glaring red entries. So, when towers fall and pentagons smolder, the knee-jerk reaction for many is to squint at official accounts with a healthy dose of skepticism. Yet sometimes, behind every grand theory is a simpler truth, a series of unfortunate events, failures in communication, and the cruel, chaotic dance of chance. If you enjoyed this conspiracy theory deep dive, you can buy my book Conspiracies on Amazon and order the full audiobook on Audible, where I delve even deeper into the labyrinth of modern myths, guiding you through a mesmerizing journey of the most tantalizing conspiracy theories of our age. Links in the description below.